If your favorite gun tuber has ever told you that you need 50,000 rounds of M855 Alpha 1 under your bed for WROL or you're going to get killed in the sheets, then go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Welcome back to the Trench Grenade channel. I am your host, the average how much ammo do I actually need for WROL video enjoyer that your mom says that we have at home. Thanks for watching. Guys, the purpose of today's video is we're going to be doing a deep dive into the topic that has plagued everyone's mind if you're a gun guy, and that is seriously, Trench, how much ammo do I actually need for a WROL actual SHTF scenario without just going out here and blindly every Saturday night when you get drunk buying 5,000 rounds of 9mm? Well, I'm going to give you the answer right now. But before we get into it, you guys know the deal. We have zero sponsors, so we have to ask you at this point to hit the like button. It helps out a ton and it keeps the channel alive. Just simply hitting the like button helps out. Comment down below if you've ever been told that you have to have X amount of rounds or you're going to die, and comment what person told you that and how many rounds they told you to have down in the comments. That should be fun. We are on the journey to 40,000 subscribers as of the time of filming this video. We are about 800 short, so if you wouldn't mind sharing the video with a buddy, that would be greatly appreciated. And let's just get right into it. Also, there's a secret Patreon channel where you can donate $5 a month and get you access to an even more secret Discord server. Definitely don't do that in the description below. All right, let's get into it. So, first and foremost, the ammo hoarding myth. So many gun tubers or just people in general will tell you that you can never have enough, you never have enough money or enough ammo and you should just stockpile more and more. And next thing you know, you turn around and you have no money and you have 20,000 rounds of Tula 7.62 by 39 sitting all over the floor, and now you don't know what's happening, right? So don't panic. If you're already, if you're in this video and you're watching this, don't go out and panic buy. You need to have a itemized list of what you need and how you need it, and that's what this video is going to do. So don't get into the hoarding, the ammunition hoarding myth. Some people stock thousands of rounds that they never shoot, or they don't even know how much ammo they actually have. So what we're going to do right now is give you a baseline of different categories, and then I'm going to develop the math and give you your guidelines throughout the video, okay? Understand that this is a practical shooting balance mixed with prepper. So half of this is going to be kind of a prepper mindset, and half of it's going to be a practical shooting balance. So for the practical shooter out there that's burning 250 to 500 rounds per month, this is going to also be applicable for you and also help you put ammo away in a organized manner, in a systematic manner that will help you stay on track. Understand, this isn't a one size fits all because some of you guys will train more or less, but this will give you a minimum basic standard that you should be going with, okay? Now, the three ammo types we're going to be focusing on first and foremost are going to be 9mm, that's 9 by 19, 5.56, that's 223 as well, okay? And of course, 12 gauge, double aught buck, and slugs. That is going to be the three ammunition types that I categorize out in great detail in this video. If your job is something outside of that, well, you're not going to need to be a designated marksman in a grid down scenario if you're by yourself. So just try to focus on these three categories at first, and then we can maybe do a branch off video for the designated marksman if you are the designated marksman for your group or whatever, okay? So we have three different categories. Range ammunition. This is going to be for training, reps, matches, and drills. Should not be used for anything other than that, okay? So category number one is range ammo. Again, training, reps, matches, and drills. Category number two on the echelon here is ready ammo. That would be loaded magazines and your active defensive stockpile. So if you're coming to and from the range, you should have this category of ready ammo. Never gets messed with, okay? If you have to use the same magazines that you train with on the flat range, then the second you get back, your ready ammunition category should be reloaded with ready ammo, and those magazines should not get touched. And then moving down into category number three, this is going to be the reserve or the deep storage category. This is for without rule of law and SHTF type scenarios only. You should never touch this category, okay? So again, range ammo, ready ammo, and the reserve. Three categories, and this is how your stash should be, I guess, split up into these three different buckets. Primarily, most of you guys have probably been only using the range ammo category, and you have been just blindly grabbing ammo and not tracking it, and that's why I want to categorize it into three basic areas: range ammo, ready ammo, and the reserve. All right, moving down. I want to talk about 12 gauge, okay? Double aught buckshot. Obviously, the use case for this in a grid down scenario is going to be home defense, close range protection, or hunting, right? So, on that, I'm assuming most of you guys are going to be shooting 25 to 50 for your range ammo. You're probably only shooting 25 to 50 shells per month, right? Maybe some of you guys go more, but the vast majority of you guys will be in the area where you're not really exceeding 25 to 50. So your range breakdown, and it'll make sense here in a second, per month should be 25 to 50 rounds just to stay proficient with that shotgun per month. That will be your range ammo. Your ready ammo needs to be 100 to 150 shells stored and rotated. Now, I want to back up a little bit, okay? The reason why you need to practice with your shotgun every month is because you need to stay proficient. You need to be dry firing and live firing. So I recommend 25 to 50 shells per month of double aught buck. That will help most of you stay proficient, okay? If you think about that, extrapolate out that to 12 months for the whole year, you're going to be shooting a ton of buckshot, okay? So 50 shells per month. Make sure you're also using your S-Tac side saddles and stuff like that when you're doing that. Moving on to ready ammo. Your ready ammo category, you need to have 100 to 150 shells of double aught buckshot stored, and you need to be rotating it. Obviously, they need to be in S-Tac side saddles, and you need to be making sure that that double aught buck is crisp, clean, and good to go. That way, it is ready, hinting obviously indicating the name of ready ammo. All right, moving down from there, we have the doomsday minimum, the reserve minimums. Okay, 250 to 500 shells of double aught buck and slugs, right? So your absolute minimum for your shotgun category is 250 to 500 shells. That is going to give you a baseline of expectation for your doomsday minimum. Again, 250 to 500 shells with a mix of double aught buckshot and slugs. That way you have good versatility for your shotgun option if your rifle and handgun options were to get reduced, okay? Now, keep in mind, and I'll just read this off. Range ammo 25 to 50, ready ammo 100 to 150, and doomsday 250 to 500, okay? Obviously, one second, guys. Obviously, for your for all this training, you need to be practicing reloading from side saddles, speed strips, and muscle memory is huge in the training part. All right, moving on. Your go-to rifle round, 5.56. Okay, obviously the use case would be mid-range defense, patrol rifle, and hunting medium game. Okay, now, for your range ammo, you should be shooting around 300 to 500 rounds per month, okay, if you're training regularly and attending matches. So for your range ammo breakdown, you're looking at 300 to 500 rounds per month. So, boom, go and set that aside for just range only 300 to 500. Moving on to your ready ammo category. This is going to be 10 plus loaded mags or 300 rounds ready to go at any given time. So you should have at any given time, your ready ammo loadout should be 10 loaded magazines. This is going to give you 300 rounds, and this is going to give you a full combat load of 210 rounds if you were needed to go on a Minuteman patrol in an emergency scenario, okay, for your neighborhood or whatever. So your ready ammo category needs to be 10 loaded mags. 300 rounds ready to go, and that's going to give you your loadout as well in there, all right? Moving on to doomsday minimums, you're looking at 2,000 to 5,000 rounds. Now, think about this. In combat loadouts, 210 rounds, that's 7 mags, okay? Then you need to multiply by how many loadouts you want to sustain. So if you plus your wife are both running a AR-15 and 5.56, guess what? 5,000 rounds might not be enough, okay? So go do the math. So 210, don't do math in public, right? However many times you need to be able to sustain 2 people or one person, however many people you're needing to sustain, well, that's going to be 210 times however many loadouts times that for the whole year, and that gives me roughly 5,000 rounds for a single man, military age male, if the most of my audience, right? If you're married or you are in a committed relationship or whatever, you might want to add to that, but your minimum is going to be 5,000 rounds in storage. Do not touch it at any point for 5.56, okay? A pro tip on this is bulk up on brass case range ammo or higher end defensive loads. Okay, so you're gonna want brass case, guys, for any sort of serious stuff. But if you're obviously this gets into a whole barrel length discussion, but the longer the barrel, the less need you have for fancier bullets. So if you have a 20-inch barrel, you can rock 55 grain FMJ, but that's a topic for another day. Okay. So for rifle, in summary here, for the range ammo is 300 to 500 rounds per month is how much you should be shooting per month. For ready ammo, 10 loaded mags, and for your doomsday reserve storage, 5,000 rounds. But that number can go up, like we talked about, if you have a roommate and you got to take that 210 combat loadout and extrapolate out. If you've gotten to this part of the video, guys, that means you are a real fan of the channel. So all I would ask you to do at this point is leave a llama, that's LLAMA, leave a llama emoji down below, and join the Patreon. It's $5 a month. It gets you access to a potential secret Discord server. All right, moving on. 9mm. Okay, the everyman handgun round. Obviously, the 9mm is the go-to for a reason. It's the most ubiquitous, common cartridge in the world at this point. Everyone's using it. Everyone loves it. Get a 9mm if you don't. That is the caliber I recommend you stock up on. Okay, use case, everyday carry, close quarter battle, CQB, barter item, bug out sidearm. Okay, bug out's a whole nother topic for another day, but those are your use cases. Okay, everyday carry, CQB, barter item, or just your bug out gun if you had to, bug out and leave your rifle behind because you needed more, sustainment equipment for some sort of crazy scenario. Well, there you go. Okay, let's go through our three categories here. Range ammo. You should be shooting 250 to 500 rounds a month, okay, for skills, for matches, for courses, whatever, right? If you're attending a serious course, you're probably going to need more like 1,200 rounds for that course. But all of you guys should be shooting between 250 and 500 rounds in your range ammo category per month through your 9mm handgun. For ready ammo, okay, moving on to ready ammo category, you're looking at 6 to 10 loaded magazines. That's 100 to 150 rounds per pistol in active rotation. So if you have a Glock 43X and a Glock 19, guess what? You need to double that. So now you're looking at 20 mags. But if you just have one handgun that you're relying on, then you're looking at 6 to 10. I would benefit to have 10. I would recommend having 10 magazines loaded for your ready ammo category at any given moment. Okay, set aside ready. And the reason for that is, okay, you got to think, if you grab your rifle, you need to have, those 4 mags that are going on your belt, or 3 mags, however many for your TTP, for your ready ammo. Okay, so again, range ammo 250 to 500 a month for drills, doggone just regular range, you guys get what I'm talking about. Matches, training, whatever. Ready ammo, 6 to 10 loaded mags. That's roughly 150 rounds for per pistol. Okay, so if your spouse also carries a Glock 19, guess what? Now you're at 20 magazines, right? So that'll put you around the 300 round mark in pistol loaded mags at 20 magazines. This is all going to be per person. Okay, moving on to doomsday minimums. You're looking at 5,000 rounds minimum in storage for your doomsday reserve, your reserve category. All right, so 5,000 rounds minimum. Why? Well, obviously, your handgun is going to be one of the things that's on you the most, so you're going to need to stay proficient even in a grid down scenario. Just because the world ends doesn't mean you stop training, right? You just train less and you dry fire more, but you need to have a ton of handgun ammo, and I recommend 5,000. Now, keep in mind, if you have a spouse or a battle buddy or whatever, you need to factor that in for more ammunition. So you could be looking at 10,000 rounds because you have a battle buddy that you have to sustain as well. All right. Universal mag. If you got this far, hit the like button. Okay. It helps out. Universal mag. Okay. Stick with a universal mag. So I would recommend Glock, SIG P320, M&P 2.0. Okay. Now, if you're like, Trench, what do you recommend, like, for realsies? Like, what would you recommend if you had to pick one? Glock, obviously. Okay. Glock pattern, if possible, works with AR9s, pistols, PCCs. And guess what? Every police station that gets ransacked is going to have thousands of Glock magazines. Every person that you run into, it most likely will have a Glock 19 on their hip. So, yeah, I recommend Glock, but also, SIG, M&P, Beretta, M9, those are all going to be a thing as well. Okay. Do not recommend staccato, obviously. Okay. Now let's talk about the power of universal magazines. So PMags or the GI Tan with blue follower. So I recommend either PMag Gen 3s or the Tan GI mags with blue followers for magazines. For the handgun, I recommend either Glock or SIG, or Beretta M9, right? Obviously. And then, you can just extrapolate out from there. Obviously, you want to have your S-Tac side saddles, but you need to make sure you have plenty of magazines set aside, right? You're basically looking at around 20 magazines per gun, all right? Now, I'm going to give you some numbers here, so prepare to copy. For the monthly, so we'll just talk about guys that are just weekend warriors, right? They don't really do a lot. Your weekend warrior numbers across for 5.56 will be 2,000 rounds. For 9mm will be 1,500, and your 12 gauge will be 250 for your stockpile. Okay, so if you're just a weekend warrior, you just do this only for survival only. You don't care about competition. You're not doing any sort of active training. Well, then you need 2,000 rounds of 5.56, 1,500 rounds of 9mm, and 250 12 gauge double out buck. Now, for most of you guys, you're going to fall in the next two categories. For the monthly trainer that takes this stuff more serious, you're looking at 3,000 rounds of 5.56, 2,500 rounds of 9mm, and 400 shells of buckshot for the monthly trainer. And then the prepper goes up from even there. 5.56 is looking at 5,000 rounds in stock. 9mm is looking at 5,000 rounds, and your 12 gauge is looking at 500 to 800 shells stocked up. Now, keep in mind, an easy way to calculate how much ammo you're going to shoot is if you say, okay, Trench, I'm going to shoot 500 rounds a month of handgun and rifle or whatever, right? And 50 shells. Now, just times that by 12, write that down, and then you need to also have whatever you're going to have on hand for your actual doomsday storage. So you need to go count your ammo, do the math, and figure out what you need. All right, how to store it. I recommend ammo cans, right? If you are shooting a lot, I recommend ammo cans. They're sealed, okay? They have a ammo seal, right? And you can label them. You can literally label the caliber on the side, 9mm, 5.56, whatever. You can spray paint them if you want to get crazy about it, or just label it with a permanent marker. But you need to label your ammo cans. Make sure you rotate ammo. You need to shoot the old ammo first. I know it's a crazy concept, but some guys forget to do this. Shoot your older ammo first. Your newest ammo gets put in stock. You shoot the old crappy Tula 7.62x39 that you've had laying around forever. All right. Don't forget, okay? Spare mags, cleaning supplies, and lubrication. And an extra bolt carrier group or an extra upper here and there might be a nice thing to have. But I have a ton of magazines because I do this for a living as a part-time job. But you guys do what you need to do. All right. Don't forget, training is the real weapon here. Okay, mindset and training. So stockpiling without any skills is just a fantasy prep that you cannot afford to do. So you still need to be out here if you're prepping or doing whatever for WROL. You need to be out here actually training. You need to be dry firing. You need to be attending courses. You need to be attending matches. Okay, dry fire, courses, matches, and practice. You need to be practicing on your own as well, just getting the reps in. Okay, 500 rounds per month per caliber is a solid training pace, but for some of you guys, you're going to break the bank. So if you need to go down to 200 rounds of 5.56 and 200 rounds of 9mm and 20 shotgun shells just to stay proficient, then go down to 200. What I'm recommending is 500 if you can afford it and you have the time. All right, aim for a 2-for-1 rule. Okay, for every one round you shoot, keep 2 in reserve. Okay, so keep that in mind. The 2-for-1 rule. For every one bullet you fire, have 2 in reserve. Okay, so if I fire 100 rounds today, I better have 200 rounds back at home. You name it. Okay. All right, guys. Final thoughts. Before I give you the final thoughts, if you enjoyed today's video and you want to support this project, again, do all the things. It helps out more than you know. And the goal for the channel currently is to get to 40,000 subscribers. Like the video, comment down below, share the video with a buddy so we can get to that goal. And if you really want to help out, join the Patreon for $5 a month. Okay, final thoughts, guys. Ammo is your lifeline. It's not a collectible. You don't need 50,000 rounds laying around unless you're literally supporting an entire squad of military-age males, right? So if you have 50,000 rounds, I'm jealous, but guess what? Most of us can't afford that, so we need to be reasonable, we need to do math, and we need to be able to plan out our training. This video is going to help you do that. It's going to help you actually plan out your training and plan accordingly, okay? So I hope this helps. Remember, You don't need 50,000 rounds, but you do need enough to fight with, enough to train with, and enough to outlast a supply chain collapse. All right, guys, I've talked a lot. You guys haven't talked at all. If you enjoy the channel, enjoy the content, do all the YouTube things, thanks for being here. And until next time, this is going to be Trench Grenade, your average combat llama enjoyer that your mom says we have at home, signing out.